some music coming through? Okay, I just got your push notification.
You did?
I got it.
Click on it and see if it comes to your page.
Good morning, true believers. Let's see what we got here. So, all right. So to kick off this live stream is Steve just sent a push notification to everyone in his mailing list. So yeah, prepare for this.
I don't think they actually work. So like, here's my thing about push.
It just worked. I just got it.
I know.
And when I
Okay,
clicked
so I'm
it brought me
really
back
like
here.
I haven't sent a campaign, like a push notification campaign, in so long. I have 16,000 push notification subscribers. I've never used it. You just got it. Oh shit! It's already got 1,900 impressions, 13 clicks, CTR rate.
Yeah, it's the chat's filling up now. Hey everybody, welcome to Rainy Nights, the segment of my YouTube. Hey, this is fixed to be really big. I'm okay with that. So, welcome to the segment of my YouTube channel where I interview motovloggers, motorcycle personalities, and apparently CEOs. If you haven't been here before,
shut up about the CEO part.
I'm Rainy Rider.
I think you saw my non-interview with Rob.
I did see that.
I said, don't ever call me a CEO ever again.
How about the COO?
The CEO implies that, like, I don't know, there's like a lot of people below me, and we're not. We're not a hierarchy. We're a flatarchy.
We're a co-denomination.
Well, I mean, like, I can't do my job unless everybody else does their jobs. They can't do their jobs. Not me doing my job. And there's no one, like, Frankie mopped the floor today, but I mopped the floor last week. You know, so it's like there's no, like, I need everybody who works for me. And I'm not, like, I'll do every single job.
So if you're just tuning in, no, you're not halfway through the chat. We've just started this, and this is how an interview with Steve happens. Steve, we just roll. So I'm Rainy Rider. I ride a 2019 BMW Grand America and a 2021 Harley Sportster. Feel free to give the channel a like and subscribe. If you haven't noticed, so Steve just sent out a push notification to his, how many? 21,000?
16,000.
16,000 people.
I'm going to give a code at some point during the interview for 20% off the entire store. I don't know when I'm going to give it out. I'll tell you what it is, and the code will expire at 8 p.m. Pacific. So it's 6 o'clock now. So if you're watching it and you want to use it, 20% off. That's a discount. Like that's higher than I would usually give out on the fly. But I'm honestly just curious to see if it actually increases the numbers of people. I mean, there's 29 watching. What was there before? Like,
is that more than Helen Mirren's birthday?
No, man.
Okay, well.
Helen Mirren's birthday was, well, it's interesting. It's interesting for a few like, you learn so much by being a business owner because, like, you've got your core skill set, right? Like, I've got mine. I have a creative background, a product design background. And thank God that I do, because if I didn't have it, I'd have to outsource that to other people. And that gets expensive. And the number one reason why businesses go out of business is they run out of money. That's just a fact. Goon's here.
Goon is here.
Fucking hey, buddy. How you doing?
So let's see who all we have in the chat here. Oh, we have Kitchen Ash here. She's here to cook. So from the beginning, of course, we have My Diana Pillion, Journey of Jerry, Midlife Motor Crisis.
Journey of Jerry. What's up, buddy?
Switching Gears. Hudson Motor Visuals. Brian the Bikers, obviously. Brian's here. Flat Ride 15.
You should do a post too, Brian. If I put out push notifications to 16,000 subscribers, at least do like a story, Brian. At least do a story. It says, okay, well, this is the link to go to, and you'll get 20% off everything.
Brian, you're up. Swing.
And actually, if I forget to give the code at some point, remind me. But I don't know when I'm going to give it out. Whenever I feel like it.
I'll set a timer just so we don't forget.
Yeah,
And
yeah. Just do like
and now you
yeah,
have
yeah.
5 minutes. Okay.
No. Just do like a random timer sometime between now and 8 p.m.
Okay.
And it'll go off, and I'll say the discount code, and everybody can split.
All right. I am setting a timer only known to me.
Where's my water?
All right. So if you haven't noticed, yeah, there's not gonna be a whole lot of structure to this one tonight, and we're just gonna roll. So I'm gonna roll through this list. I did promise Steve that this was his interview and he had total control, but we're gonna try to roll through these questions. And if anything catches your fancy, Steve, just jump on it, I guess. Anybody have
Well,
any
I told you
questions?
that, like I'm not going to do the way the interview that you know you normally do. Like I made that clear like 8,000 times. Like you can ask the questions.
And I'm good with that. I've been waiting for this interview for how long now? 8 months, 9 months. I'm willing.
Well,
I'm willing to suffer for you.
do you
Suffer for
want
my
to
art.
what it was? And people don't know this. I live stream as often as I can on Two Wheeled Goons, Friday night, Weirdos Assembly. I'm there as long as they're there. I'm there. So I live stream on Two Wheeled Goons YouTube channel every Friday night at 6 p.m. East Pacific. And it's not because, you know, like I'm promoting everything. It's because I genuinely like the camaraderie in the community. And it's fun talking to my customers. It's fun learning new things because there's so many people in there that have so many interesting insights about motorcycles. And like, you know, you hear Sid talk and you hear Thermal Yankee talk about he's, I think, I forget, maybe it was Juice or Ratty, called him the resident historian. Like, it's just, everybody's really interesting. And it's just like a good place to just chill in the week. So every Friday night, I live stream on Two Wheeled Goons channel. Like, I'm just there. But I'm part of like, you know, 5-6 people. But it's just a good time. I like it. That's why I'm making you little t-shirts.
Shameless plug. If you guys want to see Steve talk and ramble Friday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern or 8 p.m. Central, come out and watch us because we're just going to ramble some more. So let's start the questioning. If you haven't known, here let's start with question number 1. Who are you? Where are you from, and what do you ride?
My name is Steve. I own Indie Ridge. I started Indie Ridge back in. It was a sole prop until 2000. In 2015, we incorporated in 2017. I bought my partner out in 2019. COVID kind of changed a lot of things, and now I've been running it solo for the last 4 years or so. My co-founder is still a very big part of the company. But he's a full stack engineer. So as soon as he realized that it was going to become like, no, dude, we're like, I'm making a brand here. Like, we're going to decide. I'm going to do it. Nobody told me that I couldn't do it. So I don't like any of the boots and gloves out there. So I'm going to make them. And he was cool with that until he got a really good job offer that he couldn't really turn down. But he's my bird, like you. He's my bird dog. I have any issues, any problems, like, you know, he's got my back. So that's who I am, what I do. Do I ride? Right now, I'm not. I don't ride right now. I'm in the office a lot. About 80 hours a week. When I do get a chance to ride, though, I am on a 07 Street Bob. And I do have your 2021 Sportster 1200, which I'm actually having forward controls put on as we speak. Because Well, it's weird because once you go to forward controls and then you go back to mid controls, which are stock, it's like I feel weird and I feel stupid.
Yeah,
Like
you feel like on a
it.
tricycle.
Well, so what's interesting is that um, so we just got uh, we just got CE certification, CE2 certification of our boots, right? So it's a really long process, and it's not necessary in the United States to be CE2 certified, right? Um, what that basic and basically nobody knows what that means. I asked all of you guys if you guys know what CE is, and you're like, no. Everywhere else in the world requires some sort of CE certification for protective gear for motorcycles. And it was important to me, even though it's not required in the US, to let people know that this is not just a good looking boot that I'm marketing as a motorcycle, that this not only has a basic pass, which is a CE1, but it has a superior pass as CE2. Now that's puncture resistance, or puncture, abrasion resistance, transverse rigidity, resistance to water, which is the highest waterproofing FAA assigned. We got a CE1 in height because you need to be shin high to get a CE2. But it was important to me for people to know that it's not just your regular boot. It's a cool looking boot, but it's a motorcycle boot first. And there's a lot of people who can attest to that fact. That I have a friend, Pedro, from Red Rum, who went down on the way to Sturgis, and his ankle twisted 180 degrees in the other direction. The doctor told him, not Pedro, the doctor told him, he said, if you weren't wearing these boots, you would have lost your foot. So, hope he's doing well. Great guy. But that's what that's a very long way of answering a ride in 07 Street Bob at the moment. I kind of want to buy Sid's. I kind of want to buy Sid's lowrider. I got to see how we do for the rest of the year, though.
Fair enough. So, Midlife Motorcrisis has a question. It says, how did you and Steve get hooked up? I'll tell you my part of it, and then I can tell you where Steve got involved. So, I had been seeing these little ads pop up for these gloves, and they looked really cool. I was getting into winter, and it was the black gauntlet gloves. Now, I'm used to buying a pair of gloves, wearing them through the winter, and by the time winter is over, because I ride every day, they're usually worn out. It's time to buy another pair. Same thing in the summer. You buy a pair of gloves, you might make it through summer, you might not. So I bought these gloves, and literally by the time I put them on, the only way to explain it is to say it was like hand sex. You put these gloves on, and they just felt so good. I'm like, holy shit. Well, this isn't gonna last. This is like buying, yeah, yeah. This is like buying the Walmart pleather boots. You put them on, and they're comfortable for the first 3 or 4 months, and then after that they go to shit, and then you got to buy a new pair. Well, 3 months into wearing these gloves, they were still very comfortable, so I decided to do a video on them. I did a video on them. I did a review on their website, and then I get an email from this
Not on
guy.
our website. You just do a review on our website.
Didn't I?
I
So
mean,
what did you see?
Like,
Tell me
well,
where
there's
you
no
picked.
reviews post. There's no reviews posted on our website. Oh, maybe like a written review.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. I thought you like posted video or something.
I did post a video, and then I did a written review. So okay, and then you picked it up from somewhere, so you can tell me your part.
Well, I mean, it's kind of the same story. So, like, the Indie Ridge Insiders, which you're now the in charge of, it's a group that gets everything for free. It's a small group. It's a closed group at the moment. But if you know Rainey, that's kind of really the best way to get in. He'll like hit me up and it'd be like, can I kick this person out? And if I'll see the last time I heard from him. Last time he uploaded miles, stuff like that. I'll give him the boot. It was set up because I live in LA, and LA County. I don't live in LA, but the weather here is pretty temperate. And I quickly realized that other states have seasons, and other states don't have perfect weather all the time. And initially it was just an email thread between me and a bunch of guys from Duluth. Shout out to Rocket, shout out to Spotfire. And they would basically tell me, okay, well, your black full gauntlet gloves because they ride all year long. Your black full gauntlet gloves, I can wear them for about an hour at 32 degrees. That's not information that I have available to me, because it doesn't get to 32 very ever. Like that would be a very unusual, unless in the dead of night, in the dead of winter. But it's very much a fact that people ride year round if the conditions. What's up, Bob? Hey, Bob.
You knew that question was coming.
Well, I'll explain the bolt cutters in a second. I needed to know how they perform in every state, in every region, and in every climate. And I needed to know when they break, frankly, because, and I've said this a million times, if you want to create a business, like the best way to kill a bad company is with good advertising. And so I needed to know when my gloves fail or my boots fail. That's the point of the Indie Rich Insiders, is I need feedback on, okay, well, the Comanches, yeah, they're waterproof, but they're also going to keep in heat. There's a membrane that, keeps, like, the leather will get wet, but hopefully the inside of your booty won't get wet. But it doesn't rain very often. I don't get caught in rainstorms. That's not a thing. We don't have ultra humidity. So I need to know, okay, well, how's the ventilation? Does that help a bit? How's the Night 3? Well, the Night 3 I know is a lot better than everything that came before in terms of ventilation. We do have new ventilated models coming out, hopefully before Christmas, actually. And a special edition, which I think I've told you about.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be the coolest thing I've ever done. And I'm not going to that much more, even better than the Risk collaboration, because I own this collaboration 100%. But you were one of the very early Indie Ridge Insiders. So when it turned into a kind of a group, it was like a list of like 100 guys in every state, and they would all try my gear. They would get it for free, and they would give me feedback. And that's kind of the best way to know when my stuff fails, why it fails, and how I can improve for the next version. Because I have no interest, like I said to Rob a million times, I don't have a plan B on this one. And I like this job. I like creating things that didn't exist in the past. And I seem to have inadvertently stumbled upon a niche that didn't exist somehow, where people want a boot that is protective, but also looks good and is, usable off the bike as well at the destination. So gloves, boots, motorcycle masks is where it started, but that's a different story. What was the question?
What's your name? Where do you ride? No.
No, okay. Jesus.
So somebody asked about. So he asked how me and you got hooked up together. Then I asked you
Oh, right.
about my video. What made you think I need to contact this guy? And it was very weird because I'll tell my part of it. I get this an email, and this guy says, "Hey, really like the video. Would you be interested in testing the boots? Call this number. Ask for Steve." And that was it for the email. So I'm like, okay. So I get home and I call, and I'm like, hey, can I speak to Steve? He goes, speaking. This is the owner of the company, just like that. And I went, oh man, I am so sorry. Somebody punked me. Somebody gave me this number and said call it. And he's like, no, that was me. I told you call. So yeah, that's how we got started.
Well,
So
yeah, in the early days, like I wanted to explain the pro because it's a weird. It's it's something that actually Red Wing used to do. They used to give out boots as trial boots because in theory they were doing the same thing. I don't know for sure, but I know that Stephanie, um, her dad was part of like the early Red Wing trial group. But it was a way for me because it sounds like there's a catch to it, and there's not. There's zero catch. Like you get my stuff for free. You're already doing reviews that I never asked for. I'm not paying you for that. You seem to like them, but do you want to try out the rest of the line? Tell me what you think. Same thing happened with Bry. Bry was head of the Indie Rich Insiders for a while until he got a job that was less flexible in terms of his hourly, like he'd been in the office a lot more. And so you've always been like the one who is very much ride or die. And I said, hey, do you want to run the group? And basically take, this stuff off my hands because I do need people coming in, coming out, people. You can go through the entire catalog in a few months because you get a pair of boots, a pair of gloves every month. It's going to change in the future, but and initially the requirements were you have to ride at least 500 miles or more. You have to prove that by sending me a picture of your odometers. Look, after a while, it's kind of like, all right, try these boots. I believe you. Like, you're like, you ride. But I didn't really have time to manage the group as closely as I did in the beginning. When there was just a few of us, I would send out monthly like catalogs. And I would say, all right, this is what we did. This is what I did this month. And it was like, that's back when I had time to make catalogs once a month for the Indie Ridge Insiders. I don't have that time anymore, unfortunately. I wish I did. But I wanted them, it's like, okay, well, this is like the 50 people or 100 people that these are the options you have. And, it kind of went from there. And I've always appreciated your, I guess your commitment to the company when you didn't have to be. You didn't have to do any of this. You didn't have to post a review. You didn't have to do anything. And that's kind of what I love about our community in general, and why I'm on the Two Wheel Goons live stream every Friday, is because the community is actually really supportive. Now, there's some assholes out there for sure, but for the vast majority of us, like, we're supportive of each other. And I like to reward that. And I feel like I want to give back to the community, even though I would consider myself a small organization. We're growing. I mean, I've just hired some people, and we're, like, 2019, we were in my living room. 2020, we were in still my living room, also in a 1,200 square foot storage unit. 21, and I've spent the last 2 years here, which is 3,000, moving into 6,000 in a couple months, because we're like filled to the brim. So things are going well, and I have a lot of you guys to thank for that, honestly, because it's like nobody had to do anything, and you guys did, and you were, and it's like, why trust a new brand? Like, has every motorcycle boot brand or glove brand or any kind of brand that's ever existed, have they already been invented? It's like that famous quote from the patent office who said, like 1901, that like everything that can be invented has already been invented. And it's like, well, again, like, no, I don't think that's the case. I saw an opening. I've purchased boots in the past from people who I won't call out publicly, because I don't have any reason to throw shade on anybody. But it was like, okay, I could do better. So I did. That's what I spent the last 5 years doing, is basically coming out version 1 of, the Crows and the Comanches, version 2, version 3, 3.5, 4, and every version I make upgrades, mostly construction based, and I get feedback. I was just on the phone for about an hour. A guy who sent me a photo from Connecticut, and he's a mechanic who works in a garage, and he sent me some photos. Very nice guy, and I was like, do you mind if I talk to you on the phone? Because I want to hear what you're doing every day. Because the boots looked like they had been fucking put through the ringer, and he only had them a couple of months. They were Crows, new Crows. And I was like, okay, take me through like what you do. And it's mostly crouching, actually, is a mechanic. Mostly crouching that kind of wears them out. But it's like, I want to know how they got to that so quickly. I'll send you a free pair. Don't worry about that. I'll absolutely replace them. And we'll see if the same thing happens again. And if it does, then we'll be hopefully upgraded for version 5. Version 5 is going to be when I have CE certification on every inner label, though. So we'll see. So that answers the question of how I got to know you and basically the rest of the community. A brand that no one had really heard of until a few years ago. Most people still haven't heard of us now, and that's great. I don't want to grow faster than the product or the brand, like the quality of the product. I want it to be organic. I want people to tell their friends. I want stuff like that. I still answer the phone. I might answer the phone during this interview, and you guys just have to chill for a sec.
We'll talk about boots.
Yeah, so it's like, but like, I like communicating with customers in general, and I think we've lost a lot of that through Amazon. So I pulled all my gear off of Amazon, which kind of sucks, because it's like I've amassed so many reviews for gloves and boots, and now they're just listings that I just kind of refuse to put back on, because Amazon takes half of everything. And it's like, you know how fucking hard I work at this shit? It's really hard. And it's a lot of hours, and you don't deserve half of it.
It's like an agent that gets you a lot of good acting jobs, but then takes half your money.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, okay, you're just charging me 20% up front for the pleasure of doing business on your site. And that's just the first commission. That's just starting. Then there's like FBA fees, which is fulfillment by Amazon. There's all these hidden fees everywhere. Um, and it's like, I don't want to deal with, and like they've trained their customers to return. Like that is like the return rate for basically everything in general is anywhere between 25 and 40%, just across the board, not just on my products, but they've trained their customers that they're the most important person in the world. Um, and so they act like the most important person in the world. And I don't want to do that. And they create such a firewall between me and the customer. So like if I get an order from a customer, I can't even call them while the order, even if the order is, I can't communicate with them in any way unless they reach out to me. Which I get, like you don't want a bunch of people like spamming you, but it's like, I don't like that. Like, I like the idea that like, okay, I bought this at my local hardware store. I go back, I know the owner, he knows me, and we're both reasonable people. It's a, I give you goods, you give me money, fair transaction. I stand by my product. I'll refund you at any time. You can use my product, and I want to kind of bring that personal touch back into as we get into e-commerce land, because that's where it's going. I mean, there's no turning back now. So that's why I like the slowness, the growth, and versioning, because I don't want people to say like, oh, I've tried Any Rich Boots before. It's like, well, no, you've tried earlier versions of Any Rich Boots, but you haven't tried them recently. So I don't know. That's kind of how I approach the business, is where the customer knows me, knows the company, knows that there's another, but also knows that there's another person and other people on the other side of this transaction. And it's not just some faceless, nameless brand. Everybody knows who I am. I put my name on everything. And that was a strategic move, because I wanted people to realize, hey, there's actually a person here. If you call this number, he's going to answer. And if you give him a hint of attitude, he's either going to hang up or he's going to ban you for life. Probably both.
I put the lighter version of that in my video earlier, the Roadhouse Rule. Stephanie watched it. I did the Roadhouse Rule light. Yeah, I basically said, so yeah, if you like the boots, great. Tell us you love them. If you don't like them, tell us why you didn't like them. And if you just don't like them because you don't like them and you want your money back, we'll give you your money back. But if you call and start cussing us out and getting freaky with us, we'll still give you your money back, but you'll never get another pair of boots from us again.
And I'm just starting. Like, frankly, like, I wouldn't, like, if you count the amount of orders and the, like, year over year, 200% growth. Same as the year before. I don't think it's going to continue at that exponential rate. But if we do become a larger brand, and I do have more products and products that you like, and you're on the naughty list, if you've read the Roadhouse review policy, we use a variety of factors for people who try to evade their basically expulsion from the brand.
How good does the brand have to be for people who have been expelled to try to get back in to get another pair of boots?
Well, I've had people write like page-long appeals to their lifetime ban. I've had people, legit grown men, cry on the phone, and it was a very uncomfortable situation, saying like, "You don't want my business?" And I'm like, "No, I don't want your business. Like, you're not making my life easier. You're making it harder, and you're a bitch." Like, I spent $185 I spent $185 on a pair of shoes. I said, no, you did not. You spent $185 on a pair of motorcycle boots on the off chance that you go down. That's what you paid for. Everybody knows what Vans cost. They're about $80 now, by the way. You spend an extra $100 for the protection of your foot. So don't give me that kind of like, I spent X amount of dollars on your boots, I expect this. Like, don't even start with that. Because you're not paying for, it was an expensive pair of boots. You're paying for protection. They might be cool looking boots, but they're protection. You don't get CE2 very easily. It's hard.
I think you did a great thing with the boots. Let me tell you what brought me to your brand in the first place. So imagine a fat person that just can't lose weight and has tried everything under the sun, and the next thing they see is the grapefruit and bubblegum diet. And they've tried everything else, and they're like, why not? Might as well try these too. So that's where I was with the gloves. I was going through, no kidding, probably 4 pairs of gloves a year. And mechanics gloves, boaters gloves. I've even tried the best gloves I ever had that it still didn't stand up for more than like a year were the boats I had on the boat, or the gloves I had on a boat team, and they're for actually operating. Those are gunner's gloves and rower's gloves. And they finally gave out too. So when I got that pair of gauntlets, and then I got the pair of denim and blacks, they were awesome. And I was just waiting for them to tear apart because they were just way too comfortable to stay in one piece. But they did. And my first pair of boots was the same way. It's like, they can't be this comfortable and they're going to fall apart like the Walmart boots, and then they didn't. So the desperation to find a good glove and a good boot is what brought me to the company. The glove staying in one piece for so long is what kept me and made me a lifetime follower. And that's a hard thing. They look good, they function, and they're comfortable.
Yeah, and comfort was a really big thing for me. Like, I've tried every pair of gloves under the sun. I've walked into dealerships. I don't say dealerships because that's Harley. I don't want to publicly bash Harley, but
go ahead.
You try on. Well, I'm not going to ride anything else with them. And, anyway, they'll have a medium in all their gloves, and I'll try on every medium, and every medium fits differently, which means to me that they're just sourcing them from various factories and they're putting a logo on it, and they don't really care about size measurements. And I do. I care about consistency. I want people to, at least what size you are in Indy Ridge, because I don't want to change. At least what size boot you are. That's why I allow people to use them and ride with them. Like, most companies will never, they'll tell you to fuck off. Like, if you tell them, hey, I wore these boots for a month, I'd like to return them, please. They won't even respond to your email. Much less, you call a phone number and you get the CEO of the company. I mean, that's just a given. That's not going to happen. But how are you going to know if you like riding in those boots if you can't ride with those boots? Like, sometimes it's a real thing. Like, okay, well, I'm comfortable with like a mock toe boot, which is a softer toe, and I like that tactile response when I shift. And the toe cap kind of throws me off a little bit. I give it a shot, no problem. I don't want you to be unhappy with the product that you buy, so I'll always return a pair, or I'll always accept a return. Now, if you within a reasonable amount of time. So I keep having to upgrade the live free guarantee to really explain it. So now I'm putting numbers attached to it. You'll know within about a month of using if you like them or not. So I just rewrote the live free guarantee a couple days ago, just to make it clear. You've got about a month to know if you like them or not. After that, also take them back. I need to see some kind of communication though from you, email or something, just to say, hey, or just tell me why you're returning them 6 months down the road, because that raises red flags in the system. If you email me in a year and say, I'd like to return these, that's just, it just sticks out like a sore thumb. Like I don't even have to go looking for it. Like I'll get uh, like I'll just get a notification saying like, probably check on this person. And if I don't see any communication and you want to return them, I just won't give you your money back. You'll return, like I'll send you a prepaid shipping label, but I just won't return it. I'm not going to give you your money back. Like it's my prerogative. The Roadhouse return policy is the official return policy, and it sucks. It's the most stringent return policy ever. But the live free guarantee is like, hey, talk to me, talk to us. Like, if there's communication and I can see it, I'm not going to just refund your boots so you can buy the next version every year. I'd be out of business, and then everybody else would be out of business.
I think it's the best policy. I mean, the combination of the two policies is probably the best policy for a business who wants to keep customers.
And that's what I want. I want you to keep coming back. And I want the right people to keep coming back. And if you abuse that system in any way, or you shoot me an email or you're mean to Steph on the phone, or you're mean to whoever, like if you're mean to Steph on the phone, like that in and of itself, like
never be mean to the den mother.
Like people are so dumb. Like I have all your information. I know just because you bought, I know where you live. I know your entire family. I probably can find out with a quick Google search where you work, where you went to school. I have your IP address. I have your billing address. I know everything about you just by purchasing. That's just a fact. And it's just a bad idea to do it. But like, just don't abuse it. Like, the goal is to create happy, loyal customers. And I don't want, and I want a lot of those. I want more of those. And if I kept going the Amazon route and I kept going the faceless route, I would just be another name. Like a guy emailed me today and he said the words, is your company going to still offer this or still honor this or something? I don't know, something. And I thought to myself, when you say your company, what do you mean? Like my company is an entity. It's a federal entity, as an EIN. It's a piece of paper. So when you say your company, who do you mean? It's either me or Steph, Frankie. So why don't you say the name? Don't say your company. Say, are you, Steve, going to honor this? Whatever it was. Like, say my name if you're going to say your company. Don't skirt around that. That was a strategic move because it's easy to say, like, this company sucks, that company sucks. It's a lot harder to say, like, Steve sucks. Like, that's a lot harder to say.
That's why I think it was a strategic move to start doing the podcasts and start doing the live streams and stuff, because you put a face. Once you put a face to the company and hear you talk about the company and hear your love for the company, I think that makes the company really shine. I think that brings it home how dedicated you are to making a good product. So and again, like, I don't have a plan B, and I love my job, thank God, because if I was pulling these kinds of hours and I hated my job for somebody else.
Yeah, exactly, for somebody else. But when you own something, it doesn't feel like that amount of work. And then I look up at the clock and it's 11 p.m. and I'm like, I should probably get some sleep. And I haven't eaten since, I don't know, like 11 o'clock.
We're getting a couple of questions in the chat. First one is from Chasing Ghost. If you guys don't follow Chasing Ghost, she has a very cool story about why she's called Chasing Ghost. Go to her channel, ask her about that, because it is an awesome, stirring story. So I encourage you guys to go to her channel and check her out. Her question is, do you have larger women's sizes? She's tried the boots and they are too big in the heel. she's tried the men's boots and they're too big in the heel. So what is your plan on moving forward with women's boots?
Well, we have women's sizes in all our boots. And I get this question kind of a lot, is do you make women's stuff? And to me, that's kind of, I get women's hands are typically thinner. But I try to make all sizes and just make a lot of sizes. So we go down to women's 6 up to men's 15. Now, that being said, I like it. It's difficult to know sizing until you really get a lot of feedback from women. And when I look at my demographics, love it or hate it, Google doesn't lie about the demographics. It's about 95.5. I know that women ride, and I love the women who ride. They're still about 5%. This is not me talking, this is Google Analytics. And it's a certain age group too. So it's men from 35 to 65 or 70. And I can't do anything about what Google tells me. But I also like to get things exactly right for the women as much as I do for the men. So actually the women's had better versions of the boots before the men did. They had the 4.0 soles before the men did. Now, in terms of sizing, I'm still trying to figure out what the best recommendations are for if you're a women's size, and I just got this call today. She said, I'm a women's size 11. What do you think? And well, we don't go up to 11. We go up to 8.5, right? So depending on which brand and who you talk to, it's either a 3 size difference or a 2 size difference, somewhere in between. So 8.5 would be a 7.5. 8.5 would be an 11.5 in women's, maybe a 12. So that's where it kind of crosses over from the 10 to the 8.5. But I don't know that for sure. So I told her I would try the 8.5, and I'd like you to call me. I'd like to see if that's actually an appropriate fit, because we have individual. So a press mold is it's not an injection mold where there's a void that you fill. For the outer soles, we have a press mold where it's two pieces come together with the composite material for the sole, and I have a press mold for every single size because that was important to me. A lot of companies they'll do 2 sizes per press mold, and I wanted to have a different press mold for every single size. And they're expensive to make, and so it's all of this, it's still a work in progress, and I really try to do my best to accommodate everybody. You got to understand that it's going to be a matter of feedback. It's going to be a matter of the more feedback I get, the more accurately I can kind of guide people for men's sizes, women's sizes. I also have to, the number one reason why businesses go out of business, 50% in the first year, right, is they run out of money. Number one reason. It jumps to 90% in the first 5 years. Now I'm on year 7. So I feel like I've, met that hurdle at least. But they run out of money because they spend too much on, so I need to watch our cash flow to make sure that we can survive a recession if it comes, and everybody still gets paid. Remember, I'm the last person to get paid. After everybody else and all the bills and everything get paid, if there's money left, I take payroll, and mostly it's reinvested back into the company to products. But I need to be conservative in terms of how I grow, and I need to give my attention to the things that help the company stay afloat and I love, and I know you've added a few female writers to the Individual Insiders. And so I would like their feedback. I want to know if they run small or they run big, because I don't have a whole lot of feedback from them in terms of sizing.
They're talking about it in the comments right now.
Well, so Stephanie says, Stephanie, who works here, longtime girlfriend, basically runs this company. I'm just here for show. I've had her try on sizes and stuff, and it's like, she's an 8.5 in women's. In Europe, she's a 9. The other thing that people need to understand is that leather boots and motorcycle boots, they break in. So when you first buy them, they shouldn't feel like this is the most comfortable boot I've ever worn, hands down. You're not putting on a pair of Vans. You're putting on a leather boot. If you go to like Boot Barn even, or a cowboy boot shop, and they give you a pair of boots and you're like, no, it's too tight in the toe, the guy who does this every day will say, actually, no, those are the right size. They just need to be broken in. Once they break in, they'll feel great. If you buy a pair of boots and they feel super comfortable and roomy in the toe, probably bought it a half size too big. And if they work for you, great, because boots really only break in if there's a force pushing on the inside of them. So if your boot doesn't really fill out, or if your foot doesn't really fill out the boot, then it's not gonna break in widthwise. But ideally, you want to have like a firm handshake in the toe box. And I need to do a better job of explaining that on the website. It's just on my massive and never-ending list of things to do. I use the Cheyenne boot. So if you go to the website and you look at the Cheyenne, that's what I use as my tester page, because that's kind of a slower selling boot. And so if you go to the Cheyenne and you look, you'll see how I'm thinking about answering questions before they get asked. So frequently asked questions, essentially. And again, people don't know their own sizes. That's the other crazy thing. First of all, there's no consistency in the shoe industry, period. Not even with the big brands. Second of all, in the boot industry, there's even less consistency. And I don't know when the last time you put your foot into one of these. It's called a Brannock device, and you probably used it once when you were a kid, and that's it. Now, I have people calling me and saying, hey, I'm a size 10, and I am a 4E wide. And my response is, you need to go to the emergency room right now.
You're probably diabetic.
Something is very, very wrong with your foot, because the Brannock device maxes out at 3E at 14, a size 14. So it's like it's confusing. It's hard to know your own size. That's why I try to make it as easy as possible to exchange or return, because you don't have the ability to try it on. And that's why I have the live for guarantee, is because, you kind of got to use it. You kind of got to break them in, and I'm okay with that. If you're happy, I'm happy. I'm a 9 wide. I'm a 9.5 wide too, according to the Brannock device. And I wear a 9.5 in my boots, but I also wear a 9.5 in my Vans. So I wear 3 pairs of three types of shoes: my boots, Vans, or I go barefoot.
We had one other question. What's up, Bob is asking. Let me ask the question right. Let me back it up a little bit.
What's with the?
He said, "Has anyone ever totally destroyed a pair of boots?" And I know we had the one guy who was a MSF instructor who wrote us and said that he literally destroyed a pair of boots. But
Like destroyed, like on accident or on purpose?
he was putting it. He taught MSF courses 4 days a week for, I can't remember how long he said, but he said in 6 months he had totally worn the soles out of the bottom of, I think he said, the crows. But that's putting your shoes down probably 400 times a day.
Yeah.
Other than
I mean,
that,
there are edge cases, and like the guy I just talked to, he's like, you don't like the guy who basically wore them out pretty quickly. Well, they looked worn out. The photos he sent. He's like, I love them. Like, I'm not asking for you to send me a replacement. These are the most comfortable boots I've ever worn. I'm also a mechanic, and I wear them all the time. Okay, so it's like, are they your regular shoes? Are they your Converse? No. Converse uses a vulcanized sole, and they use some kind of canvas or suede or some kind of really easy pliable material. We have a cup sole, and we use Lev-It. It depends on what you do, how often you use it, and what you use it for. Like the Comanche has exposed teeth, which gives you less surface area. But those exposed teeth, if you need more traction, it's going to give you more traction and more grip if the road itself is not as good. The downside to that is you don't have the rest of the boot to absorb that surface area. So the other models have the same teeth, but they're recessed into the boot. So it distributes the surface area across the rest of the boot as well, not just the teeth. So the Comanche, if you wear them every day, all day long, as just a regular shoe, they're going to wear down faster. I mean, that's just the laws of physics.
it's like a track tire. You give up a lot of wear to be able to have the extra traction.
Yeah, so it's like, there's certain things that are out of my control. And that's just, they're motorcycle boots that are made to be worn on and off the bike. I didn't realize that, like, people are wearing them all day, every day, and it's like, okay, cool. I'm glad you're doing it. That wasn't necessarily my intention, and I'm going to try to make them better so where they, are still comfortable. They hold up longer. If you wear them every single day, all day, and you walk around and you're a mechanic and you're crashing a lot, like, I'm absolutely going to try to do that, because I get questions all the time. Like, I have to have this kind of certification. I'm a construction worker. I don't ride a motorcycle, but I love your boots. Are these ASM something?
ASME. ASME 75 and 100.
And it's like, I just paid so much money for CE certification in Italy. And like, one American work hour is like 2 weeks in Italian time. So the time and the effort that it took them just to get certified, it's like, I'll get to it, but you can only be pulled in so many different directions. And I know everybody wants to have things adjusted right now, done, but you got to remember, we're a lean staff. We may come off like a big company, but it's basically a lot of us working really, really hard, or a few of us working really, really hard to make sure that everybody is happy. And I'm just one piece of the cog. I'm responsible for moving the brand forward and making the products and doing some of the higher level stuff, but that is no more important than making sure that the boots that go out the door are kitted properly. So no one's more important than the other.
I have a question for this chat. Daniel McClellan says he got a pair of boots at the Forgotten Angels. So Daniel, did you get those on being a helper at the camp out, or being one of the young men at the camp out, or did you get those in one of Shay and Josh's live streams? Let me know in the chat.
Yeah, they
I
do a
like to
lot of
follow these
giveaways.
things. David has gotten into this thing now. These boots we have. He loves giving the boots away to people in the chat who are saying nice things and talking about you know, Forgotten Angels. And he'll look through there, and if somebody donates a lot of money to Forgotten Angels, he'll give them a pair of boots in the chat.
That's good. I mean,
So
I donated a lot to Forgotten Angels because I didn't know about the charity until you told me. At first, I was just gonna send you a few things and then you explained to me about what Forgotten Angels was, and I was like, that's the law. Like the amount that David and for those of you who don't know Forgotten Angels, go look it up. It's not just in Florida; it's in a lot of states, as Sid told me. It's kind of a horrible law, I guess you can call it. And David is a saint for what he does. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to give them like $200,000 worth of gear. And it's not like used gear. It's like, this is what I would pull if any other customer bought.
I think it started as 10 pair of boots, and every time I talked to you, it went up like 10 or 15 pair until they had like 100 pair.
Like, you told me about it, and I was like, he's really doing this, and this is the law? Like, you know, that's horrible. For those, I don't know if you want to explain the charity.
So Forgotten Angels takes kids who have aged out of the foster care system, and by aged out, I mean the state will pay a foster family to keep a child until they're 18 years of age, which a lot of times, and this is probably anywhere I've heard before this, even after they turn 18, the family will keep them. They still get a subsidy, but it's not 100%. It may be 80 after they're 18 to let them finish high school, or to maybe go through a little trade school or something. But a lot of these families, they run them like mills. They'll have 8 kids in their house, and when they turn 18, and I always give Junior as an example, the night Junior turned 18, they woke him up at midnight and said, hey, you're 18 now, you got to get out. You're a grown man. Because they had another body that was going to fill that bed the next day. So they gave Junior a bag, like a grocery bag, with a pair of socks and a pair of underwear in it, and said, hit the road. And so the sheriff found him 3 o'clock in the morning walking around the streets of Tampa with a little plastic shopping bag with a pair of underwear and socks in it. And so the sheriff called David, or I guess the deputy called sheriff. The sheriff knows David because he goes out there a lot and he knows about the charity, and said, can you take this kid in?
David is,
so David started his career actually up in Canada, working for the Canadian Football League. And when he retired from that, he went into acting, coaching. So he would take sports stars and get them into movies to do referrals and consultations and stuff. One of the people he got was Michael Lauria. If you've heard the name Michael Lauria, it's because he was the guy that the movie Blindside is about. The Sandra Bullock movie. Which is
in the news right now.
So I'm not sure why it's in the movies, but basically he was Michael Lauria's.
In the news right now.
Yeah, like, I know it's in the news, but I haven't read the story, so I know it's popping up. But
it's online, so
pretty much the same thing happened to Michael Lauria. He turned 18, they kicked him out in the street. But so David was his agent, doing consultation on this movie, and he asked Michael Lauria, "Is this really what happens?" He goes, "Oh, it was actually worse than this." He goes, "I know I have a lot of friends that the same thing happened to." So David wanted to get involved in this. So David went down to Forgotten Angels down in Tampa, met the person who was running the site down there, which was Cindy Tilley at the time. And he just, from the first time he stepped on site there, he got wrapped up in the project. And he ended up moving out there, staying out there, working to try to get donations, work to try to get stuff. And so Forgotten Angels will take these kids. Not only will they give them a place to stay, they teach them how to work on motorcycles, they get them their license, they get them how to work on cars. They build tiny homes out there where these kids learn how to run water piping, they learn how to do carpentry, they learn how to lay bricks, they learn how to do everything. It involves, handyman work, basically, just to give them something to do and give them some kind of training. Some of the kids out there didn't know how to tie their shoes. That's basically they get sent to their room when they get home from school. They stay in their room. They come down to eat. They get back sent back to their room. They don't even get to socialize. A lot of people thought that Junior was learning disabled because he didn't really talk. What he basically didn't have any social skills because they didn't let him socialize with anybody. And now he's started his own handyman business. And this is how David grows these kids. They teach them how to write checks. They teach them how to start a bank account. They teach them how to fill out job applications. They literally teach these things, everything a normal parent would start teaching their kid at like age 5. And when they grow into adulthood, they show these kids when they're teenagers how to drive a car, write a check, how to make money, things like this. These kids are basically thrown out on the street with no skills at all and said, here, survive. Have a nice day. And so that's what Forgotten Angels does. It gives these kids a life, and gives them a meaning of life, and gives them friends, and gives them hope. So
And huge shout out to Shade Tree and Jay and David, because they basically, they do give away for bikes. They sent me a Brapstar, a skateboard deck, and they all signed it because I just hopped into one of their live streams, and they actually didn't even know it was me. They just saw that it was they knew it by the logo that I was in the chat. It said Vinny Ridge, but when I bought the tickets, it said Josh was like, okay, we're giving this to Stephen Lauria.
he didn't say Lauria. He said Stephen Larius. And I was like, that's so, Steve. Yeah. As I put it in there, I said, that's Steve Mindy Ridge. And they're like, what? No way. And they're like, yeah, that's him.
Yeah. And so it took him a second. And Shay was like, that's the guy from Mindy Ridge. Like, I obviously I wanted the skateboard deck because it was around skateboard deck.
If you want to see the skateboard, look back at the thumbnail.
Yeah. Or don't look at the thumbnail.
It's a good thumbnail.
I was on the fence on that thumbnail or on that photo, but I feel like I had to thank them somehow, and that was the first thing that popped into my head is taking a photo of B.
It's memorable.
Yeah, it's a good shot too. Like Steph took the shot. She kind of was the director. And, move your hand to this, or okay, well I can see that. So like let's move it up a little bit. Yeah, so that's how that.
Shay liked it a lot.
Yes, she did. Yeah.
So this is what kind of person David is. So Daniel says he had put in this. He bought one ticket because it's all he could afford, and he put in there, this is the only thing I could afford. And David said, well, if you're going to give us all the money you can afford, you deserve a pair of boots. That's just the kind of guy David is. He's out to help everybody. He
is. And he's like the nicest. I haven't met him in person, but I was in a position where I could help, and I could help out all the volunteers like Goon, all the people that you sent. I gave him risk boots, and Seven Sentinel, Sid, who is one of the most interesting people I know, who can outride probably all of us combined.
I've rode with her. Yes, that's true.
And she's got the demeanor of like so even keel. To see her, just that you gave her a pair of wrist boots, to see her cry, and then to know her now, it kind of shocked me in a good way. And I don't know, I was in a position to do it, and so I could. I did, and it's going to be an ongoing thing. This was like a last minute.
Oh, it's an alarm.
Is that the promo code? Okay.
That's an alarm.
20% off. All right, now I got to extend it. Okay. The 20% off code for everything in the store right now is Rainy, Rainy. Now, I had it cut off at 8 p.m. I'm going to have to extend it because we're it's 7:15 where I'm at. So I'm going to extend it until I'll do 10 p.m. Pacific, but it's 20% off. Now, I don't give that discount code out that much unless you're someone like Red Rum. Now, Red Rum is one of the largest motorcycle clubs in the world, and they're all indigenous tribes. Cliff is the international president, good friend of mine. He did a lot of favors for me, and he promoted my gear a lot. Again, this goes back to the idea of community and how much I love it. He didn't have to do any of that stuff, but he promoted my stuff before he even had to. I asked him, I was on the fence about, so the idea behind the names of the boots, like Crow, Comanche, Cheyenne, obviously they're Native American tribes, but they're Plains Indians tribes specifically. And they were the first tribes to incorporate the horse into their lifestyle, which changed everything. It changed how they lived, it changed how they moved, how they fought. It changed everything about their tribe. And to me, that was an interesting allegory for someone who's discovered motorcycles. But knowing that it's not really appropriate, I'll see you later, buddy. It's not really appropriate to use it as just kind of like a throwaway, oh, that's a cool word, Comanche. I asked him, like, do you think this is okay? He said, yeah, it's fucking great. I asked another member of a very early member, one of the Duluth crew, Spotfire. He is of the Turtle Clan. The Mohawk tribe is not a Plains Indians tribe. I asked him first out of everybody, because he was like part of that original email chain. I asked him first, is this okay? Are you like, I know it's not something that, I don't want to step into a hornet's nest if I don't have to. He said, yeah, I think it's a great idea. So I actually named the Mohawk after him specifically and his tribe, the Mohawk tribe, which is not a Plains Indians tribe, but he's got a boot named after him. And that was back, he's from the original Duluth Indian Settler crew. So once again, discount code is RAINY, RAINY. It'll end at 10 o'clock Pacific. And there might be another sale coming up soon too as well. So keep an eye out. Make sure you're subscribed to our email list, because I only announce sales through email and when I feel like it. So subscribe. That's just me.
It's your company. You can do what you want.
That's the thing. It's not against the law to drive your own company to the ground, Mike. There's no rule against it. I can hold 100% off discount code, and I can just give everything away, and there's no one to say I can't. That's one of the perks of owning your own business.
So Sid says she got new gloves because she destroyed them in an accident. I didn't see your insider's email come in. You didn't pay for those, did you?
Yeah, Sid, you're part of the Indie Rig Insider.
Yeah, you get stuff every month. You better not have paid for those. We'll have to get Steph to check that.
I mean, I can do it right now, and I could just refund her the money. So, like, that's how. I mean, you have to tell us when you do, because we might not catch it, but we update your name Sydney.
Yeah, and try a different kind.
Do you have an order number, Sid? No, I'm not taking your money. Not taking your money.
No,
Not
Sydney,
taking your
you're
money.
on the test crew. You're supposed to be testing these. That's the trade off.
Yeah, and it's like like I want to know what you think. I mean, you're a woman who can beat every guy in that live stream. You're better than everyone. And I kind of want to buy your lowrider just because of that fact, that I know that it comes from you. That's what makes it interesting for me. Not the fact that it's a lowrider, it's your lowrider. That's why I'm interested in it. It might not be street legal in California, but only if I rev it that high and it goes above a certain decibel. Uh,
This is the interview, Sid. We can do what we want. It's my interview.
yeah, like that's the whole point of everything, is that this is all a simulation anyway. You don't really exist. This is all fake. Um, so don't take it too seriously. Don't take it too personally. Um, that's probably uh, uh, just as likely of an explanation of the existence of this universe as anything else. I'm way off your list
I sent this sale to a
because
friend of mine, and he said, "Bullshit. There's no way they're using your name as a discount code." I said, "Try me." He just sent me his
tell them to
receipt.
fuck off and say, okay, yeah, you're
He just
right.
sent me his receipt.
You're right.
I said, "I told you."
No, I mean, it expires at 10, but
Yep. He just used it. He
um,
just bought a pair of boots.
Steve is Neo. Thanks, Bob. Yeah, well, it's. I don't know if I can stop bullets, because in this simulation, if you get shot, they do actually hit you. I can't do the thing where I can stop the bullets. I haven't figured that one out yet.
It's still simulated. The pain
Um,
just never stops. It's just simulated pain
yeah,
with a simulated death.
the simulated pain is still pretty
It's
real.
still pain.
Yeah, yeah. Well, like, so I had this conversation with my brother, and again, I'm way off topic about this, but again, I don't care. Um, he said that we might be in an infinite simulation. Now, my brother is one of the smartest people I've ever known in my entire life. He created an equation in his head for the why God exists by the age of 10, a math equation, and he told me about it. And I was like, so you're on another planet compared to me. And it was a great concept. I actually had to call him recently. I'm like, explain that concept, why it's wrong, because it still sounds right 30 years later. Um, and his take was, like the advancements we're making in artificial intelligence right now, we're creating our own AI. We're creating our own simulations. So, and just in the last 6 months, AI has become, it's just become such a massive, leaps and bounds, exponentially gotten more and more smart. So in a couple of years, this AI might create its own AI. And we might be in someone else's AI, and it could be an infinite string. He said that's just as likely as anything else.
Now I'm scared. I'm just gonna go to bed. I'm gonna sleep it off. Juice,
Yeah,
which summer gloves are you getting? So where you're living, I would recommend getting the Denim and Leather, because of where you live. It's gonna get cold pretty quick.
yeah. I'd say the Denim and Leather is a good 3-season glove. And I mean that in like half of summer, it's not going to be good. And half of winter, it's going to be too cold. So you take fall and you take spring and you take half of summer, half of winter. I wear Denim and Leather almost always, or the Golden Gloves, because it's a half comma, so it's colder, I'll wear the Golden Gloves. And then I'll wear Crossfields are my go-to, during. I mean, I wear all my boots, but Crossfields are my go-to. I'll wear my Indy Ridge Kevlar black hoodie. You guys didn't know about yet. That I'm in pre-production version 4 because I didn't like the first 3 versions, so I made changes to the first 3 versions.
I've actually been trying to get one for a year and a half.
I'm slow to design, and I don't care. It's not going out to people until I'm confident enough that it's actually quality product. So yeah, it's true. Like, I'm slow to design. And pre-production version 4 is going to be version 1 of these jackets, essentially, of these hoodies and jackets. And then I'll start versioning from there after I get feedback from the group. But the insiders will probably get them first, and then everybody else they'll be for sale. But that's kind of the way I do things, is that I have my name on all this stuff. I don't want to send out a bad product knowing that it could be better.
Well, I think you're in a comfortable place where you can take your time. You're not going to starve to death if you don't get the new product out today. But it'll be better in the long run if you get a quality product to market that people won't start returning immediately.
Yeah, well, so I mean, that's a good point, because people have asked me for a long ass time. Why don't I sell T-shirts? And it's like, well, you're not asking me to sell T-shirts. Like, you think it's a simple process. It's not. T-shirts are, first of all, there's a saying in my mind that T-shirts are always a vanity move. They just advertise a company. They serve no function other than to cover your shirt. And I go shirtless a lot of the time anyway. So the brand itself, Indy Ridge, can never surpass the quality of the product, ever. So until I'm satisfied enough with what I'm selling, then I can start the vanity shit, like hats and T-shirts and all that kind of stuff. So that's one reason why I don't. But I am making T-shirts now. The difference is that I want my T-shirts to be as good as everything else. I'm not buying blanks from Gildan or Bell and Canvas or whatever it's called, and just printing my logo on them. No, I'm going to find the best mill that does cotton poly blends in Guatemala, because I wanted to buy from this one place in Guatemala that does really good work and treats their workers really well. They're very eco-friendly. I don't know how people care about that kind of stuff, but Gildan just pumps out a ton of shirts, and so their MOQs, which is minimum order quantity, just to even buy the material, is 6,000 yards, which is about $50,000. So you're not asking me to just buy, like, if you say make T-shirts, it's like, okay, I need the T-shirts, I need the necklines, I need everything to be perfect before I even consider. So it's not just like, well, just make them. It's not how it works for me. Everybody else can sell as many. There's plenty of lifestyle brands, motorcycle brands that sell T-shirts. They use the same artwork. They use the same everything. I want to put some thought behind everything I sell, and that's the goal, essentially. So it's a tougher ask than you think, but the good news is that the T-shirt blanks are being cut and sewn right now in Guatemala. They will be shipped up to Miami, actually, and I'm going to screen print them locally with a friend of mine who I want to help out, because he's had a kid. I like to help out.
You got a big heart, Steve. I know you probably don't want to hear that, but you do.
Well, I feel like I feel like I have a debt. and it's not like a it's not like a heavy debt, like an obligation. It's more of a like people have given me things, especially in the last couple of years, that they didn't have to. So they lent me a marker, they gave me a marker, and I'm paying that marker back, or I'm forwarding that marker to somebody else. So that's uh, that's with t-shirts, and that's why you guys well we'll get to that when we get to that. I don't want to talk about that forever, and then
Spoilers.
A year down the line, you're like, remember when you said this? And I'm like, yeah, I'm working on it, man. I
I will
designed
never
slow.
push
We
you.
will. Yeah. So um, but these should be relatively fast. It's screen printing. Um,
I think the meaning of life is to help others, and that makes your life better. I don't think anything
I
positive you ever do for anyone else never. Uh, it will always come back to you in a positive. You reap what you sow. If you want to take that biblical Buddha, Muslim, whatever, they all have the same saying. If you help others, people will help you, and your life will be better.
Yeah, I find that to be more and more true as time goes on. As the business goes on, you know, I don't, like I said, like I know you thought I was joking about the simulation thing, and it is kind of a joke, but you might as well treat it like you got such a finite amount of time on this earth. Give as much as you can, uh, and you'll be more fulfilled. Your soul, like everybody, well, I don't know about everybody, but everybody has dark moments in their lives. You know, it's impossible to not have them. Um, for a lot of people. So I want to try to get that coming back my direction. And the only way to do it is to give it out in that direction because I might need it. And there's times when I do need it, frankly. You know, it's a lot of work and it's a lot on your shoulders when you've got people who have children. I need to make sure that they can weather a recession if one comes. And depending on who you talk to, maybe one's coming. I don't know. They've been saying that for a while, though.
I saw a funny meme about the housing market crash today, and it was like millennials wondering when the housing market crash is coming, and it shows a truck coming at a pylon, and then it shows it from a different direction, and and it never actually hits the pylon. It just keeps coming at full speed. They're like, well, it's coming
Yeah.
someday.
Yeah,
But
I mean, the recession was supposed to hit at the beginning of 2023. It technically did hit when we had 2 quarters of um, back-to-back, uh, or I think the technical definition is 2 successive quarters of negative GDP growth constitutes a recession. So we did briefly hit a recession.
I think we didn't feel it because we were just coming out of COVID and things were already so messed up that it just kind of went from a
No,
mud
this was like,
puddle into a pothole,
yeah,
and you really didn't notice.
yeah, yeah. COVID was interesting. COVID changed a lot. It bumped our company up 5 years into the future, which, um, you know, it's interesting because our first product was just a side product, motorcycle face masks, the skull. That's available for our site. We still sell a ton of those. Um, so my partner and I basically decided, hey, let's try to create some motorcycle masks and see how well they sell on Amazon. Because the hardest part of retail is fulfillment, returns, dealing with all the stuff. Amazon takes care of FBA. So we did. We started off this company started off with $500. We split it, $250 a piece, and we bought motorcycle masks. I did the design on it and he wanted to use the stock factory design, and I was like, no, we can do better. And so it kind of grew from there. And then, Paisley, the black and white American flag. Um, and From there, it kind of grew, and then COVID hit. Well, it grew and grew and grew, and then I bought out my partner in April 2019. COVID
For
hit.
$250?
No, 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 no. We agreed upon a valuation at as of April 2019, um, and shortly after COVID hit, and I was sitting on a year and a half worth of supply of motorcycle face masks, which was the number one search term for 8 months on Amazon. So it was, COVID was a horrible thing. Some industries got destroyed, but if you sold plexiglass, your industry was like, you just all of a sudden became really, really rich. And I just happened to have products that people were looking to buy. So I was able to invest some capital back into the business that I thought would take a lot longer to grow. So I was able to up my timetable a little bit. So, in a weird way, that's what happened. That's kind of.
There were a lot of negatives from COVID, but I see so many more, and this is going to sound crazy, but so many more positive things happened after COVID. Because the motorcycle market, I know they were, during COVID, they were saying motorcycle market, they might go out of business. There'll be no more motorcycles. And then all of a sudden, I think what happened is people decided all these things they've been waiting for years and years and saying, I'll put it off and I'll put it off. One day I'll do it. All of a sudden, COVID made them say, life is short. Like the Yankee was just saying, I got to do this now. And the one thing you could do during COVID was ride a motorcycle. And people were getting out and and you couldn't find motorcycles in dealerships. They were gone. The dealerships were empty. They were buying every
I know.
one.
Yeah, like usually like the used lots were like full, and they were just empty for every brand. And which was kind of crazy. Highway 66 choppers. If you guys are ever in the Inland Empire, which you have no reason to be in, frankly, Highway 66 choppers is probably the best chopper shop, probably in Southern California. I don't know who's in Northern California or other states, but Clint. I just hired his daughter, actually, part-time. She's a gem. He's the best. But yeah, he's like, yeah, we actually got a ton of business during COVID. Because people spent. So it was an odd time. And, I have people close to me who died. But I don't want to get into
people had. One of the times I got COVID, I thought I really was going to die. It was a horrible ailment, but
it was scary.
Yes.
At first, when they had those like daily press conferences, like because nobody knew like what was going to happen, and it was legit terrifying.
Yeah, you had doctors turning on each other. The weird. Well, I won't say it's funny, but the weirdest thing I see now is there were doctors then saying, then this is 2 months in, saying you should put no COVID patient on a ventilator because you'll kill them, because that's not how a ventilator works.
Because they'll never come off, yeah.
And here it is 3 years later, and they're saying all the ones they put on ventilators, the ventilator killed them, because what COVID did to your lungs basically liquefied the inside of your lungs, and putting you on a ventilator, all it did was destroy the inside of your lungs. You had to be able to use your own breathing capacity. So, anyway, side note. We've got to answer at least 2 of these questions on my list.
Yeah, keep going.
So how did you get into motorcycles?
I fucking live here. This is kind of an embarrassing story, but I'll tell it anyway. I was dating. I lived in Australia for a while, and I was dating a girl who rode. And I don't know what kind of bike. it wasn't a small bike, but I'm not a big guy. So it felt big. And so she taught me how to ride, and I was probably 20. But I had to wear her pink jacket. And it was, it was probably just a small bike. It was like a Honda or something, or a Honda 250 Honda, but it felt heavy. And so she taught me how to ride. And then, the standard answer is off and on since then. Things get in the way. I had to move up to San Francisco for a job. Came back down, had a different job, and then got back into it since then. So off and on since I was 20. But that's how I got into it, is that this beautiful Australian girl who I rode her whatever bike she had, and I just remember riding down the street wearing her pink.
Sometimes a guy just wants to look pretty. Nothing wrong with that.
And I looked fantastic in it.
I bet you did. Hey man, I had a lot of pink shit in the '80s. I mean, it was what was going on, man. That was Miami Vice days. It was lots of paisley colors.
Yeah, this was like 07 though, so
it's a throwback. Well, that's the year that Miami Vice was trying to make a comeback, so it's fine.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So
I mean, I never jacket. I was in Australia.
Being an on and off rider, what's been your scariest moment on a bike?
That's a good question. Scariest moment on a bike is always going to be, for me, because I ride up in the mountains here, because I've got some good mountains, some good riding just up the street. And then there's a lot of roads. If you don't know which particular roads, and these are places that people like drive really fast. Like it's kind of like the Snake in Topanga, in that sense, where it's if you don't need to ride it, don't ride it. It's 1.5 miles and 21 turns. Like, stop. Like, you don't need to go there. There's plenty of other trails out there. Asked you about lane splitting. Yeah, we can talk about that too. Riding those types of roads at night and having some close calls and not seeing seeing headlights until like you're on a hairpin turn and they're coming in like, the outside, outside. You just got to slow down. And then, if your helmet's got a little scratches, you start to see stars, and it's like, yeah, I should probably get off this mountain as soon as possible. Scariest, I haven't had any like ultra close calls because I'm a relatively conservative rider. Like, I wear all my gear all the time. I see guys flying down the freeway while I'm riding in the number 2 lane, because I don't ride in the fast lane. That's just what I do. Because I don't want to, and I see guys flying down in tank tops and nothing, and they're going 90, 95 in their choppers, and it's like, oh, I mean, do what you want, but this is what I'm going to do. I like my skin. I like to be able to walk. I like my head. So in those terms, scariest moments, we have some, on some of these trails, we have they're basically switchbacks. They're not U-turns, they're switchbacks. Where it's like you'll turn, you'll go into a turn, and then you'll have to climb about 20 feet of elevation as like a 180, and you've got about 7-9 feet to do it. And that is hard. I'm on a dyno, so it's not like the heaviest of bikes, but it's hard. It's still like, all right, it's a little sketch. And if you do it at night, it's a little harder. So scariest moments, I haven't had any major close calls. or I haven't had any speed wobbles or anything like that. Um, you know, uh, so I would say that kind of stuff would be my scariest moments, is the uncertainty of a road at night that is very windy and people drive fast on. I try to avoid it, but sometimes I'm on my way to Lowe's to pick something up, and I find myself driving up a mountain, and by the time I get down there, it's closed. And you know, so that's one.
All right. So, 3 questions I have to ask. That's one of them. Second one is, what has been your favorite part of riding? What do you love most about motorcycles?
Oh, they're fun. They're just fun. I don't want to say the freedom answer because that's what everybody else says, and the unbridledness. There's the danger aspect is always interesting. You're going 75 miles an hour, basically with an engine strapped to your nuts. That's what it is. That's what motorcycle riding is.
I heard a comedian say yesterday that it's like wearing a gas-soaked panty liner.
There you go.
They put the most dangerous part of the motorcycle and the most sensitive part of you.
Yeah, exactly. So, riding is obviously it's incredibly fun. Itself, that's my favorite part. Probably the people I meet riding is I would say that's probably the real answer.
Okay.
I don't know if that's I don't know. Like, what's the best response? What's the best response you've gotten on that question?
The best response I ever got was kind of on parallel with yours. The best part of motorcycles is the people that you meet, the group. And I mean, look at our group. Look at the weirdos. If it had not been for motorcycles, our little weirdos assembled would have never happened. All these great people that I know and have come to love, I would never have met.
Yeah, and there's people who like people like Goon. I've never met Goon in person, but if Goon needs me to help him move, well, I don't know if I'll drop everything and fly. I'll ask you if you can help out first.
I'll be. I'm going to be there.
No, I know.
Send snacks. Get pizza delivered.
But there's people who you
have connections.
Even though and it's fun, and I like it. But yeah, that is basically the community aspect of it. Now, you do a lot of group rides, which is unusual for. I don't know if it's unusual for me or Californians in general, but we don't do a lot of the group camp out stuff. At least I don't. I do like to ride solo, but I think that comes from my surfing past. I don't like to surf with other people. Most surfers don't. Because when you want to go and you're waiting for them to get their shit together, it's like, all right, I'm leaving. But as a surfer, I like to be able, I'm going surfing, and no one's telling me not to. So, solo rider versus group rider, I'm a solo guy, and that's just it. It's like I go when I want to go, and I don't plan out trips and organizations. Say, hey, let's all go ride. If I was part of a club or something, it might be different, but I'm not. So.
Okay. Fair answer. If you could
go, the truth, yeah.
If you could go anywhere on a motorcycle today, you didn't have to start from your house. You could go anywhere in the world and ride to anywhere. Where would it be? On any kind of bike. I'll get to what's up, Bob. I'll get to his question in a second.
Probably someplace remote. I have to do some research on that because if you give me that open-ended of an answer, I need to do research. Because like my first thought is, okay, well, I want to go and ride the dragon, but I don't know if that's the right answer. I feel like there's better places, but I would have to do research. If you're giving me that option of time travel and like here's
Sure, why
a
not?
magical motorcycle, I'm gonna need to do some research. Like I can't like I don't have I there's not like a place I've picked out. I want to pick the exact right place to go to. That's my meticulous nature, is that I can't answer that because I haven't done the research on it yet. But the first thing that came to mind, so obviously I've never ridden the dragon, so
I at one time would have said the dragon, but I actually rode through there. So I had a friend who was moving from Ohio to Norfolk, Virginia, and we rode through and we hit part of the tail of the dragon. And I remember just thinking, well, this isn't too bad. You drive it slow, it's not that dangerous. Now, the most dangerous road I've ever rode, and everyone loves to do it, is the pigtail up going from Ozark, Arkansas up to Eureka Springs. And as far as technical, it's probably an 8, but I did not enjoy that ride at all because there were 4 back-to-back 10-mile-an-hour hairpin curves. And there was no guardrail, and all of your focus was on riding the ride. And I like to look around. I like the scenery. I like to look over the side of the mountain and see what's going on. On those technical roads, you can't do that. So I actually took those kind of roads off my list, and I'd rather ride in Montana, Arizona, through the desert.
That's like that's what I was thinking too. Like I would put, there's probably some really good roads up in Montana and Idaho. Again, like I want to go where there's nobody else, but I still have access to cell service in case
Cell service, water, and snacks.
Yeah,
Need that stuff.
Basically, yeah. And I always ride with, on a longer ride, I'll always ride with water, like a hydro pack. I'll just use like just like stuff that I use when I go for a run or something. I'll use
a Camelback or a small hydro pack, yeah. Still got the question on the bolt cutters.
Bolt cutters are, how when you walk into Harbor Freight, I don't know if you guys have Harbor Freight.
Mm-hmm.
There it is.
We have a Harbor Freight.
When you walk into Harbor Freight and you're just looking for some ceramic magnets and you walk out with giant bolt cutters, all those
I
times?
do know that. You walk in wanting a screwdriver and you come out with $400 worth of tools.
It was between this and a giant fireman's axe. I was like, that might look kind of cool. But the bolt cutters have tick marks. And that's how many seals I've broken on containers. Now, the big transition for the company was because I was getting killed on air freight. So our gear is made in artillery in Pakistan. And that's, whether people know it or not, almost every single brand currently sources their gear in Pakistan, or has moved on to another, I'd say lesser quality, but for some reason that's their bread and butter, like gloves, boots. But if you're on top of them, it's good leather, and helps me keep my prices down. And I get the whole like, well, why don't you make them in America? And it's like, well, made in America stuff is not made in America. It might be assembled in America, and it's like, and that's great that you're loyal to my supply chain. I'm more loyal to my customers, and so if I can get you a product that's equally as good or better and keep my price the same by switching to a sea freight schedule instead of air freight, which saves me a lot of money, then I'm going to do it. But it costs a lot of money to get, because you have to place multiple purchase orders, because you need to do the current one, then you need to do like 9 months out, 12 months out. So you're floating up like $500,000 at once. And finally I got everything on a sea freight schedule. And so counting how many containers, full containers that I've cut this year. So 6. That's with the book covers.
Aaron wants to know if there's going to be an Indie Ridge calendar with all of the people from Weirdos Assembled modeling the products.
Modeling the products?
With skateboards and nothing else.
Skateboards. Sid might need to. Juice might not use a skateboard.
Aaron could just use his beard.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I did in my photo. Is that I was wearing I actually tagged the Comanches in that shot because I was wearing the Comanches and I was wearing the skateboard.
That was one of my trivia questions when I was giving away stuff at my meetup. What were you wearing in that picture? Amazingly, no one noticed you were wearing boots. One girl did.
Shocking.
Yeah.
But I'm still a businessman, and so if I have the opportunity to showcase my products, I'm going to.
I think it worked. That should definitely be on the calendar.
Yeah, like you're asking for a calendar, but again, okay, maybe you get it in 2 years. It's got to be perfect. And I'll go through 8 different versions of the calendar before I like it, and then it'll be released. So it's like
you'll release the 2024 calendar in 2029.
Exactly. Yeah, it'll be useless by the time it gets to you.
I have one more question, and then we can freestyle after that.
All right.
What is one motorcycle that you want to ride, but you could only ride once, and once you get off of it, you could never ride it again? And by that I mean like the Boss Hoss that has the 350 engine, or the Kawasaki, the HP2. Something that you could ride it once and probably ride it safely, but if you ride it twice, you'd probably kill yourself. But you still want to ride it.
Yeah, those are probably good answers. I was thinking some of the choppers that Clint's built, where the forks are so long that it's like, how do you even turn? But yeah, I'm kind of partial to Harley and what I want to ride. I'd like to try the electric one, but I have no desire to ride it again. But I'm curious. So again, I would probably need to do a little bit more research on what I'd like to ride and can never ride again. That's kind of a tricky one. What would you do?
I would do the Boss Hoss with the LS2. And again, for the same reason, I think I could ride it once and I could hold myself back enough and be conservative enough to not die. But as soon as I got off of it, I'd look back at it and go, you know what? I think I can do more. I think I can ride it harder. I think I can ride it faster. And that's probably when I would kill myself.
Yeah. That's fair. Yeah. And that's, that kind of bike is probably the appropriate answer. A bike that has a massive amount of displacement for like the weight of the bike in your own size, that you can feel comfortable on relatively quick, and but know that it can do a lot more. But yeah, so that's probably pretty good. I saw a question about advice to your first riders. Like giving a piece. I'm going through your list of questions because I was curious about it.
I gave up on the list now, but go back to the list and see if there's anything you want to answer.
Can you message me through Slack? Hang on.
Can I send it to you again?
Oh wait, no, I have it. Fair weather. 4 or 5. No, definitely fairway. Well, I don't have a choice on that.
Thanks for coming, Bob. And congratulations to Midlife Motor Crisis. He got him a pair of Crows with the discount code.
Good man. Stupidest thing I've ever done on a motorcycle is buy my dream bike when I first learned how to ride.
What was it?
It wasn't my dream bike at the time, but like that's kind of the stupidest thing you could do in general, is to buy your dream bike as your first bike, because you're going to drop it, and that is like, it's just a fact of life, and you're going to have to get over it, because the bikes you ride in the MSF course, they are small, they are light, they are easy. So if you, let's say you buy a Sportster 1200, the smallest, lightest bike that Harley made that year, 2021, you're going to drop it. Most frustrating part of riding for you, freeways here, and the way cars drive here, like everybody is just so fast. Everybody drives just insanely fast, especially at night. People have big ass trucks. So that's the most frustrating. The lane splitting thing, someone asked about that. I actually don't do it because of that. Even in traffic, like, I'll do it a little bit, but like, for the most part, like, people are dicks. They'll like ride into the lane just because they don't want you to pass them. And so I usually, I don't want to hit somebody else's car because they didn't make enough space. I definitely don't lane split. One of the things that annoys me is when people are lane splitting at really high speeds. That I just look at and I'm like, fucking what? I wouldn't do it. But like, if you're going 85 and you're lane splitting and you're, to go 90, like, I hate you.
Yeah, I think everybody that has filtering and splitting, there's like a 15-mile-an-hour limit difference, but nobody follows it. They're thinking about doing it in Tennessee, right north of where I am. They're going to do lane splitting, and they're trying to write up the policy for how fast you can go from traffic, and the red light policy. They have to make extra lanes at the red lights, between lanes, and I think it's turning into a bigger deal than I thought it was going to be. But if they don't do that, because it's actually Mississippi and Tennessee both, it's not illegal, but it's not legal. So you can do it, and you won't get a ticket for it. But if somebody decides to cut you off and hit you while you're trying to do it, it's your fault because you're in their lane. So
yeah,
very quirky.
It's wear gear. Like, I don't care if you buy mine, but wear gear, because there are a lot of people who have to learn that the hard way. I've had my face. My face is held together with plates and screws. It's been broken and reconstructed 3 times. I won't ever not wear a full face helmet just because I can't take one more. I just can't. So like, I'll never not wear a full face. I won't even do modular. Hands, it's just so easy to just pop on a pair of gloves. And I get pictures. I get a lot of pictures. People send me a lot of photos of when they've gone down on their bikes, and the result. And it's like, if they weren't wearing gloves or boots, it would have been a lot worse. And they're always like, "Thank you for like your gloves saved my hands." But just even low speed stuff is like, just wear it. Like, I don't know. I think the tide's kind of changing on safety gear in general. I think for a long time it was kind of a like it's not that important, but and I mean there's still states that have no helmet laws, but see you later, Glenn.
Later, man.
But just wear your gear. Wear gear. Wear the most you can. I don't know.
I think you have to find your comfort zone, but you've got to wear something. So I wear a modular, and I change it out once a year. So I wear a helmet. It's $100 helmet. People give me shit about it all the time, but it's a very good helmet. I've tried just like gloves and boots. I've tried every kind under the sun, and I had to get one that's comfortable that I could also wear, that could also change out pretty easy, but was still affordable to change out once a year. And I've had people that don't even wear helmets give me shit about wearing a $100 helmet, but I'm wearing a helmet, and it's a good helmet. It's the One Storm, and I am on my probably 8th One Storm helmet. They never break. All these problems people have with their modulars popping open or their wind visors blowing off or all this, I've never had those problems. And so I'm gonna say it's a good enough helmet for me. It's quiet.
I mean,
I don't catch
I don't wear
wind.
like a. Yeah, I mean, I don't wear a Shelly or anything. I wear an AGV V6. It was the last one I bought. And that one's served me well so far. It's quiet enough. Where I mean, if I'm going on a long ride, I'll still wear earplugs, or at least headphones or something. But so kind of higher end, but I don't swap out because I also don't drop them. So I kind of treat them gingerly in between, when I'm moving them. So.
Yeah, I wear mine probably 50 weeks out of the year. So by the time I get through a year, it's full of sweat and grime and oil and
it's just gross.
Bugs. Yeah. It's just gross. And I'm going to change the helmet out. I've tried to change the liners out, and you can really never get the liners back in right.
Well, you shouldn't. Well, at least the emergency pull tags, you're not supposed to touch those.
Yeah.
So that pretty much answers all your motorcycle questions. Do you have any other questions in general?
So I kind of like to know: are you gonna start putting pictures of the gear on after it gets crashed and gets roughed up? Because I know the one guy sent us a picture of his gloves when he fell, and I was very impressed with how many layers of leather he burnt away when he fell, and there was still glove there. That speaks for itself. Really.
I mean, like there was so the top review over on the Crow, and I guess it's sorted by most helpful, so I guess it's considered the most helpful review. He spent 20-something days in the hospital, and he basically said the same thing that everybody else says, is that the booze saved his foot, and the doctor told him that. And so he posted pictures from the hospital. And so that kind of stuff, I don't really like to post crash photos. They're not mine to post. And, I have a ton of them, but probably not, I don't want to be like, okay, well, hey, this is, look at this guy crashed and was wearing my gear. I saved his hand, yeah, but I don't know. It feels kind of weird to me.
Okay, fair enough.
But
Toby's asking if there's a video on how to tie your shoes, and there was. I heard that the How to Tie Your Shoelaces, that site doesn't exist anymore. Did something happen to it?
It does exist. So right now it's a 404. Because it used to exist, because on the inside of the shoebox, it used to have the words howtotieYourShoes.com. When we migrated over to our new e-commerce platform, I didn't make that site again because there's no reference to that site anywhere on the shoeboxes or on the inserts or anything like that. So it stayed empty, and Bob asks me about it all the time. Like, okay, what's the how to tie your shoe thing? How to tie your shoes thing is basically how I want you to tie my boots, which is you tie them behind the tongue and you stuff the laces inside. Now, I don't know if that comes from like my skateboarding days and like early Vans, but laces suck. And having exposed laces makes your boots look ugly and they make you look stupid. Never mind the safety aspect, but in like, accidentally snagging a peg when you're at a stop sign, like regardless of all of that, like tie them behind the tongue and stuff them in. So that is howtotieyourshoes.com. I still own the URL, and I'll get to it when I get to it. But I have some more pressing things, and some people don't like it because it's like, well, you feel a knot on the front of your foot. It's like, well, I've been doing it my whole life, and that's how I want you to tie them. But you're free to tie them however you want. So there wasn't a video of how to tie your shoes. I've made them before for people, but it just kind of it's a more sleek look. It's everything kind of stays inside and it just looks better. So that's howtotieyourshoes.com. Doesn't exist right now though.
There you go.
Yeah.
As far as the questions I had,
not Phoebe's mink oil.
That's what I use.
Okay, so
she I know she put Aussie oil up there, but that's what I've had great success with.
Yeah,
but that's just me.
So you want to use the Aussie leather conditioner because mink oil depends on how much glycerin you have in it. It's going to darken your boot. Now, if that's okay with you, then that's fine. But if you've got the Comanches and you want to keep that color, you want more of a beeswax type of a conditioner, and I use that stuff on everything. So that's kind of my go-to response is Phoebe's Aussie Leather Conditioner. Again, the discount code up for an hour and 45 minutes is Rainy, RAINY, 20%. It ends at 10 o'clock tonight. And if I were you, I'd subscribe to the email list. Just putting that out there now.
And also subscribe to Rainy Rider.
Oh, yeah. Rainy Rider. Subscribe to him, too. And to everybody else. But, yeah. So, that's kind of the story of Indy Ridge. Part of the story, most of the story. We're growing pretty fast. I like the pace that we're growing to where it's more like word of mouth. And less, advertising. I'm not all over Instagram, advertising. I don't even post that much on Instagram at all. So
the last meetup I went to, and of course, all the advertising that these people have probably seen is what me talking. There were, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2. There were 10 people wearing. Let's see if I can get a picture of these, but there were 10 people.
I saw that. Yeah, that was great.
Wearing Indy Ridge boots.
And I kind of want that. Like, I want your friends to advocate for the boots because that's who you trust. And so,
I think what your friends wear and what you get. We talked about this earlier. What you get excited about, people that watch you would get excited about it. And word of mouth is the best. The best testimony.
It's worked so far. We do Google shopping ads and stuff.
See you later, Aaron.
See you now. But it's that's kind of the pace I'm comfortable growing. I don't want to, like, again, like I'm not ready to pull all the levers that I can pull, and I have a ton of levers that I can still pull. So I'm holding back on that for now.
Awesome.
I want everybody to be happy with the product, be happy with the company, happy with the service, happy with me, and trying to bring a little bit of humanity back into this faceless e-commerce world that we're in. That's why I answer the phone. I mean, you guys give me the best feedback, and if something's not clear to like a person on the website, then you guys, like, if I hand that off to like customer service, it might get lost. I want to know about it because then I got to change it.
Yeah, I think if you had a customer service, when they answer the phone, they're going to give you whatever answer is on their sheet of paper. When you
Yeah,
ask somebody that
it's
wears
like,
these
well,
boots and gloves, they're going to give you exactly what they know from personal experience.
yeah, which happened today. That guy who was a mechanic, and I wanted to talk to him. I said, okay, how did you get your boots to look like that so quickly? What are you doing? That kind of stuff. So I think it's really important to make that kind of personal connection. So I'll be doing more of these kinds of, now that I think I finally succumbed to being on camera with Rob.
Later, Daves. Thanks for stopping by. I'll see you soon.
And Bri still wants to record. So I did an impromptu live with Bri a couple weeks ago, but he wants to record one. I'm much more amenable to putting it out there. It's just, I mean, as a businessman, it's just good business, I guess, at this point, because I do want people to understand the idea behind the company, and kind of what we're about and what we're not about. And we've got the most generous return policy in the world and the most horrible return policy in the world, and I get to decide which one I implement. And if you try to take advantage, this fucking asshole I held a sale last, like in March, where it was buy a pair of boots, get a pair of gloves for free. He tried to exchange that free pair of gloves for the exact same style and size. So he sent us back his gloves, and I banned him for life, and he just sent us his gloves. He was like, okay, well, you're out. I'm not giving you a refund on zero. I'm not sending you a new pair of gloves. Like, bye. It was easy to spot too, because his order number was in like the 8,000s, or in like the 20,000s. So it was like it was
very uncool.
It was dumb. Yeah. So just don't take advantage. Everybody be cool, and we'll be able to keep this in place for as long as possible. And I still want to answer the phone for as long as possible. I want people to know the person that is making their stuff. I mean, try to get the CEO of, well, yeah, I guess, but it's like, you guys are trusting me with your footwear, with your feet, and your hands. It's like, I don't want to fuck around with that. So
here's the last question, and people have asked me this already, and probably asked you too. And we've talked about this in the past. For people who haven't watched, when are you coming to Forgotten Angels?
Not October, but I was thinking the following March, because October is kind of like when the season, like stuff ramps up for us. Probably March is when I'd like to come out. Again, subject to whatever, but like that was the plan.
Because now that you've shown everyone your deck, you've whipped your deck out, everybody wants to meet you.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to disappoint, but
right on.
Yeah, that's the plan now for the March meetup, and hopefully it'll be a little bit more organized in terms of like donations and stuff like that.
I think we did a very good job. I mean, you did a very good job just getting. I mean, Stephanie did a very good job getting everything there. She whipped it. She whipped that horse. Horse delivered.
Well, like there was a lot of don't like it all came at once. Like three different charities. We did. We sent a lot of boots to a women's motorcycle group for veterans. So they, who are dealing with PTSD, they get them on bikes. They always need boots. So I sent them out a bunch. I sent you guys a bunch. I sent out to other charities as well. For some reason, it just all converged in like the same couple of weeks. So that was that was kind of a hectic one. But I'm glad I got to do it. And March is the goal. March is the goal.
It was a lot of shit. When I got there, Dave was like, "Did you see how much stuff they delivered?" No, I rode here on a motorcycle. I have no idea how much shit they delivered. He took me right out to the warehouse. He goes, "There's 2 more boxes inside the house," and I'm like, "This is crazy."
Well, I mean, hopefully he puts them to good use, and they were helpful, or at the very least, Shade Tree can auction them off.
I told you one of the boys was like, "These are, I can keep them." Dave was like, "Yeah, you can keep them." He's like, "They're mine." He's like, "Yeah." He goes, "No, really? They're like nobody's gonna want them back." And he's like, Dave was like, "No, these are yours. These are your boots." And he couldn't believe it. He's like, "And I can keep them?" Yeah, these are your boots. Hell well. That's how these kids grew up. Just so the one kid, he was saying that every time he went to another house, everything he came there with, he only got to leave with 1 pair of clothes. So they had like communal clothes all these kids would wear, dig through piles of clothes and find what fits you, and that's what you get to keep. And when he left, he gets to leave with 1 pair of clothes. Sometimes the shoes fit, sometimes they didn't. But he got to leave with 1 pair, and that's it.
Yeah. And you're only required to feed them 1 meal a day.
Yep. A lot of these kids ate at school. They would go down and wait in line and wait for somebody to feed them at McDonald's, or I couldn't imagine. And you can't even go to the kitchen and feed yourself and make you something because there's nothing there.
And they don't want you downstairs.
Yeah. You can't make through the kitchen.
Yeah, they'll tell you to get back in your room. And it's just like... And the thing about that kind of stuff is like, I feel like I've been lucky to have been spared that kind of situation. Yeah. And a lot of situations that a lot of us have had to go through, even in Weirdos Assemble, so I feel like it's kind of important for me to at least do as much as I can for as many people as I can for as long as I can. So.
We're here to help each other. That's what we're here for.
Yeah, and that's really kind of the only thing that matters. I think your point about helping the other people, I'd say it's fulfillment, and that's a large part of it is being fulfilled. It's not happiness; it's being fulfilled by your life and what you're doing. I think it's probably pretty fulfilling for David. It makes me feel good when I do stuff for other people. Maybe that's greedy of me or whatever, but I think that what you guys are doing is amazing. What the entire squad has done for free and volunteered their time is amazing. And I look forward to continuing that in the future as much as I can.
It's going to be excellent. I'm glad to have you here. I'm glad I got associated with you. I'm glad I wrote those emails. Glad I did that video.
Yeah, because like when Bry because he was the guy who wrote who, and he's still my guy. Like Bry is still my consigliere. Like I bounce ideas off him all the time. I talk to him a lot. He checks in with me a lot, see how I'm doing, just headspace, stuff like that. But you were like, hey, like, yeah, I'll do it. and and again, it's one of those things where it's just like you put out and something comes back. And this was a really good, like you taking charge of the Indie Rich Insiders and basically getting to decide who gets in and who doesn't. Because there is a 1,600 person wait list.
Yeah. Cat's out of the bag now.
Yeah, it's long. You kind of got to know rating now. But, you know, I think it's great. I like that you've added more women because I need more feedback on sizing and if they like it and what I can change and stuff like that. So it's an important part of the testing process is I need to see them out in the wild in different conditions. So
I'm still trying to find a way to get a pair up to Red Ryder in Canada. We'll figure that out. I think a thing to do. We'll talk about this later.
Yeah. I think you can market it as a gift, but I don't know. Like, we have enough people in America that can test them out. Canadians are.
Fuck those Canadians.
Sometimes they forget Canada. Where they live, and they're like, "Wait a minute, I gotta pay these duties," and it's like
they forget it's another country, yeah.
And like, I'm not paying for your shipping because it's like $30, and then if you exchange, it's another $30 back, and then if you do a return, it's another $30.
Jeez.
So it's like, you guys are killing me. Like, I can't do it. So you guys got to pay for it. Like I'll do it here domestically and to people who are serving abroad.
You should have hit Chasing Ghost up while she was still on here. I'll have to write to Chasing Ghost and see if she's interested. She's the one with the size. I think she said she was a size 12.
Mm-hmm.
I have to hit her up and see if we can do something. Anyway, that's for off-stream stuff. So I guess you got any questions for me?
Yeah, I want to know more. Like, and this can be, like I'm on the weird. So again, I whenever Goon holds Friday nights, Two-Wheeled Goon live stream, Weirdos Assemble, I'm always going to be on it, mostly because it's fun and I just get to kind of shoot the shit with people I like. I want to know more about the people, actually. They all talk about bikes, but I'm interested. I mean, I've got a million questions for you. I don't know what you did prior to your current job, and there's probably stuff you can't talk about, but I want to know. I'm curious as much as you can tell me. Like, that's the fun part for me.
Okay.
Is like getting to know people's stories. Like, Sid is like a closed book, but I know there's stuff behind there, and I'm dying to know. That's why I want to fly out and spend a couple days and have her teach me to ride like her and get to know her a little better, and then buy her lowrider ST. And then probably have it shipped back because so like those are the kinds of questions, because all of you guys have very different lived experiences, and this is mine, like 24/7 pretty much.
You should make one of our campouts on it. We actually we stay in hotels sometimes too. So just the camping thing, I think, is probably makes it a little more personal. But we've stayed in hotels too, so fly out, stay with us, ride with us, find out all about us.
Steve is a weirdo.
The Weirdos Assembled. Right. You're one of the weirdos.
Oh, okay. Well, hopefully Diana.
That's my pillion.
Do we know Diana?
Yeah, we know her.
Okay, good. Sorry, there's so many names. I talked to so many people. You have no idea. Like, who do you think has talked to more motorcycle riders in the last 5 years? And by what factor do you think that is the case?
Oh, yeah. It's even hard for me. And here, 3 years ago, I had 20 subscribers, and now I'm almost at 1,000. And I have people that will randomly, text me or message me or DM me, and I'm trying to remember who is this person, and it takes me a
Yeah,
while
and I've
sometimes to
talked to,
figure out who they are.
no shit, probably
Yeah,
10,000.
yeah,
I've been taking phone calls since 2017, since I first put the phone number up, which is a Google Voice number that just reroutes to my cell. That's it. It's not like some fancy like phone tree. It's like like my mom calls me. Well, my mom doesn't call the company. My mom calls my cell, but it just reroutes to my cell. That's it. And so it's either me or Steph. And if it's not me, it's because I'm on the other line with another customer. But I've talked to 10,000. So like names, I need more than that. I need context. I need situation. Like I need, and so, but I still like doing it. It's fun. Yeah, you hear all kinds of stories, meet all kinds of people. Most of them just want to talk. Most of them just want to be like, just shoot the shit.
yeah. Jerry was blown away that you answered the phone when he called. He's like, he actually answered the phone. Yes, he did.
Yeah, that Jerry moment was that was a good one.
Jerry's
He
gold.
made me tear up,
Jerry is gold.
and he was tearing up. Yeah, like yeah, and I don't know if that's on your if that's on your video.
Yes.
Yeah, that
When I
one.
gave him
Well,
the
he called me. Like when he called me, it was like, I had no idea. I had zero clue that you did that and what was going on. None. And so he called me out of the blue, and to thank me, and it was like fuck. That one hit. A lot
Yeah,
of them hit.
that's when I first started doing it, and I said, we got this guy that does things for everybody else, and I want to do something special for him. Can you send me like a buff, pair of boots, a hat? You're like, oh yeah, okay. And I gave them to him. And then
Yeah.
you afterwards actually went and gave him a huge discount. We won't tell everybody else what it is because it's even more than I think the Helen Mirren one on the boots. So yeah, it was awesome.
As long as I'm in a position to do things for the rest of the community's been excellent to me, and the company in general. There's a few assholes on Reddit, so I try to stay away from them, especially in Harley. Like they can go fuck themselves. Um, but other than that, the community's been fantastic, and everybody's done a lot for me when they never had to. They never had any reason. And that's, again, that comes back to the idea of what I like most about the community. Is I wasn't expecting this, a brand new company that you've never heard of maybe 2-3 years ago, to be now. I would be surprised if every other motorcycle brand doesn't know who I am.
They do now.
I would be shocked. And that's because of everybody else and the support and all that. Like it's been awesome, and John and Rob and just everybody. It's been great. So thank you very much for everything you've done personally and organizing. Not my stuff, but like everything that you've done for the charity, and kind of, I think that everything that you put out it's very special, and it's very rare, and so that's why I'm very appreciative of people like you.
Well, it's easy to support a company and a product that you believe in and that works. Like I do these commercials, and there's products I've turned down. I've got the product in the mail and said, "Yeah, I'm not doing this. This is a piece of shit. It just doesn't work."
And it's never going to stop for me too. Like I'm going to find something that I don't like, and I'm going to keep making it better. I'm going to I have no interest in putting out a crappy product and then advertising a shit ton for it.
Yeah,
No
and
interest.
your name is on it. Your picture's on it now. Your face is on it. So yeah, now it's you.
Yeah, and if you don't like it, you can read the side of the wrist boot. But anyway, I'm sure. You
People
know,
probably want to go to sleep.
people want to go to sleep. I wasn't intending this to be for how long we've been streaming for.
This is actually great.
2.5 hours.
2.5 hours.
How
We
long do
kept a
they
lot of
normally
people.
go?
I usually between an hour and 2 hours, but usually by the end of 2 hours, I've got probably like 4 people still watching. So we kept 30 people right up until 10 o'clock. I think everybody went to bed.
Yeah,
I'll
I
look at
mean,
this. I'll look at the numbers later. I think we had a shitload of people on tonight.
I'm glad I got the chance to do it, and I'm glad you scheduled it because that's the only way that you're going to pin me down is if I have it on my schedule. And so I had it on my iCalendar, where it's like rainy 6 to 7. It's 8:30. So thank you to everybody who watched. I really appreciate it. Rainy's a great dude, worth a subscribe. If you're not, I'm sure everybody in the chat is subscribed. But um, just thanks for everything, Mike.
Thank you
Um,
very much. Thanks for this. Thanks for this opportunity, and on behalf of all my
Thanks for forcing
insiders,
me to do
thank
it.
you.
Yeah, yeah.
He's
No,
done a great thing for
I
us.
yeah. Well, just doing what I can in my part, and that's it. So no more special than anybody else in that group.
Well, I would love to. I would love to be associated with you as long as possible, and to keep doing great things and keep doing more things because I think it's been a good ride, and I think it's only going to get better.
I'm optimistic as well.
And maybe one day you'll move to Tennessee or Mississippi instead of California, and I can actually be in your
I
office.
was looking at houses in Iowa that go for like $300,000, and they're awesome.
Yeah, your money goes a long
So
way in
maybe
farm
not
country.
Iowa, but I was like, if I didn't surf, which I don't actually do that much anymore because I'm here all the time, um, and I've never experienced seasons, so I don't know what that would be like. But I was like, fuck, I could buy that same house, not have to live under the Communist Republic of California. I'll just say it out loud. So, um, and I could live closer to a very, very nice place. And, you know, it probably makes shipping a lot cheaper too, being,
You buy a much bigger warehouse in Iowa.
yeah, that's the other thing is rent 6,000 square feet. It's a lot of money
Mm-hmm.
in California.
It's California.
And plus, they add 10%, and then my local tax is 10%. And it's like, okay, guys, you know what? You can push and push and push. And I probably shouldn't finish that sentence.
Yeah, and you're in the
Anyway,
worst
buddy.
part of California too.
Yeah, but
But there's hope.
yeah,
You act like a Midwest boy. If we can get you out of there, we can get you out of California, you'll be right at home.
well, I was asking Chat GPT last night, what is the most temperate climate that has the least amount of humidity, um, and is not freezing during the winter? And a few interesting states came up. Not Tennessee, but
Not Mississippi.
Colorado was one.
We got all
Not
the humidity.
Mississippi. Yeah, all the humidity and the heat and all that, and I can't take the humidity. But Montana was up there. I need to see mountains. I need to
Big
see
sky
things that
country.
are-
Yeah.
yeah. So I need to be out where there's things that I can look at. But so I had never considered it until like why? What's keeping me here still? Is it just inertia?
Habit.
But
Yep. Inertia.
yeah. But we'll see what the future holds, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to this and how far it goes, and everybody comes along with. And, we'll see. We'll see.
Yep. I'm optimistic. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and sign off. Steve, you want to hang out for a couple seconds? I'm going to go ahead and end this. So, guys, if you haven't been over to Andy Ritchie's site, looked at their new boots, their new products, all the new things they got coming out.
Oh yeah, I
Go check them
just
out.
put out black denim gloves on black leather, and I wrote the first review because everybody else writes the first review, but I wanted to write the first review because I've been using them for the past 3 months, and I just put them up for sale. There's only one picture because I only had time to make one picture. You don't need to see the rest of them. They're black on black denim. I wrote the first review, and I did a good job on those gloves. So those are new, those are up, and they're part of possibly an upcoming sale. So keep that in mind. They're awesome. Last time, discount code will end in about an hour. Rainy, RAINY, 20% entire store. It will end. And that's it. So thanks for having me on, buddy. Always a pleasure to see you every Friday. And for doing this,
Thank you.
I don't know if that was the interview you had in mind, but that's what you got.
You know what? I was like I said, I've been waiting for you for a very long time, probably more like 8 months, and it was like, getting you on is the pinnacle of my interviews. So I'm good with this.
I don't know if the quality was.
It was excellent.
I have no idea. I don't know how I come across.
Excellent.
I just assume that everybody hates me.
Nope,
and,
we hit that. We hit the old pocket, buddy. We had guys are not disappointed.
I'm glad. I don't like to disappoint people. And
I had a great time.
So, thanks for everybody. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you guys probably Friday if we hold it.
Yep. So if you want to see us all again, go to Two Wheel Goon's channel, Two Wheel Goon YouTube, and look at if you're on my Facebook or his, we put it out right before we post, so we put the link up. So make sure you show up. All right, guys, like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell. If you feel like it, go into my Patreon, throw a couple bucks my way. That's what makes it easier to do these strips and get all my cameras and all my stuff. So until next time, be safe and be nice to each other, because that's what makes the world go round. Bye, everybody.